Welcome to Defense Against the Dark Arts. Today we're going to be learning some spells. First, forget about it. Take it easy, will you? Oh! Expecto Patronum in the trunk. Holy cannoli!
Hey, fun fans, it's We Enjoy, continuing our Jurassic Attack here leading up to Jurassic World Dominion. This week is the interestingly titled sequel, The Lost World: Jurassic Park. We are the Mattitude Eric. I am Matt Fowler. Say hello, Eric Goldman.
Hello, everyone. Only because you said interestingly titled, I was going to say this later, but I'll say it now. Because the second movie in this series was called The Lost World: Jurassic Park, and then the fourth movie was called Jurassic World, I desperately wanted the fifth one to be called The Lost Park: Jurassic World, but they didn't listen to me.
Did you even make your intentions known, or did you
tweeted it?
I tweeted it. I put it out into the Twitterverse, so
Right.
Therefore it should be heated. Normally we are obviously in the era where you keep the franchise name front, and then you have the colon, and then the sequel title. And this one just did not play by the rules. But then again, this was based on a quickly written Michael Crichton sequel that he sort of threw together called The Lost World. So they kept the book title first, I guess. Yeah.
But also, it's a similar situation is Rambo First Blood Part 2. Now, they didn't even use a number here, but where they made the subtitle the first movie's title. Now, in that case, of course, the third movie just became Rambo 3. So this would have been if the third one was called The Lost World 3, if they'd done something similar in craziness. They didn't do that. But it is an oddly titled series. Not Fast and Furious oddly titled, but even the fact that the third one's the only one with the number in the title.
But also the fact that like Jurassic World Dominion doesn't even have a colon. They're just breaking all the rules here. So it's madness, it's bedlam.
When
it's
I
chaos.
write the title, there is a colon. So.
Well, when I look up the title, no one's got a colon except Eric Goldman.
Screw that.
I want to open this podcast by, first of all, thanking everyone who upgraded their Patreon status to Hudson Hawks or joined as a fully fresh Catch the Hawk Hudson Hawk. As we announced on our last episode, the Jurassic Park episode, we now have a new tier where for $4 a month, you can get our bonus episodes. And we have two ones fresh out of the oven for you. We have Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, and we also have a full recap of Marvel's Moon Knight from Disney+.
The Moon Knight?
The Moon, did you listen to the opening, Eric?
Nope, but it doesn't shock me.
I put the Carol Brady, Peter Brady Moon conversation at the top.
Excellent.
The Moon, wow. All right.
Yes, good stuff.
Okay, and so we're talking about the sequel, which I had not seen in quite a while. I'm going to just throw a random year out there. I'll say 15 years, I'll say, maybe. Who knows?
That's the number I threw out for, was it Out of Sight or Anaconda? One of those I threw out of 15 years. So it's a good, safe number to throw out when you're not quite sure.
15 years. As Eric and I slowly creep towards 50, years mean less and less. Groupings of years mean even, they're even more paltry, where it's kind of like, I look at like pictures of mine I have up on social media. Like I changed my profile picture recently and I was like, in my head, I'm like, that's a recent picture. And then I'm like, wait a minute, that was like 5-6 years ago. But for me, it's like, it doesn't seem like a very long time when you're as elderly as I am. So, all right.
Did you see last night? I don't know. This could so easily turn into like middle-aged men yells at Cloud, but
that's our whole podcast. But yeah, go ahead.
That's true. But it was like another viral tweet that like disappeared Generation X from
I know. But here's the thing:
it's really weird. Like we just don't exist.
Most of the time, I'll say like I'm just gonna throw out another random number. 85% of the time, that feels good, feels right, feels natural. I'm happy.
It does kind of feel good to be so on the down low.
Exactly. I'm happy to be left out of the conversation completely because the only time I get mad is when somebody, like, just because I'm older says, okay, boomer. And the same way, I'm sure that a teenager hates being called a millennial, right? Like neither one of us are being categorized right. Like, I don't know. Anyone old is a boomer, anyone young is a millennial, and then the Gen Z and the Gen X, especially Gen X, get left out. So
it was David Gergen, senior political analyst for CNN, who tweeted, "Baby boomers have been running the country for nearly 3 decades, and it's time to pass the baton to younger generations, millennials and Gen Z." And just
well.
and as for that other group, well,
whatever. I don't care. I mean, we were literally for about 7 years straight called slackers and apathetic and do nothings, and like because we were so disillusioned by our boomer or greatest gen parents that so we just fucked off, and like we just were like, hey, we're gonna make a movie called So Fucking What, and it's gonna start Steven Dorff,
and we're gonna make a movie called Slacker.
The Slacker.
Yeah.
All right.
It all worked out.
Yeah, we're gonna be super on the nose about the Slacker thing too. So let's get into some news here.
The news.
Let's get the coolest news, which broke today. Piggybacking off of another sort of next Scream movie, which will be Scream 6, and will be probably titled Scream 2. I don't know what they're gonna call it. They're gonna call it Scream Dominion.
They could call it Scream TOO. I don't know. Let's see what they do.
What, like Look Who's Talking To?
Yes.
All right, I'm in. You sold me. First, we learned that the surviving youths from the first movie,
which is the 5th movie.
Yeah, from the first movie starring them.
Sure.
Not the first movie. The first movie starring them, which came out just a few months ago. Melissa Barrera, Jasmine Savoy Brown, Mason Gooding, and Jenna Ortega, who's still having her moment, will be back for the next Scream movie. But then, and this was only sort of an Easter egg part of the last movie, we learned when we learned that Hayden Panettiere's Kirby was still alive and was a Woodsboro survivor, and this was a blink if you miss it moment, will actually be back for the next Scream movie as Kirby.
Yep.
And I don't know I'm going to throw this out there for you, Eric. I am perfectly fine, I think, if for this movie, Nev and Courtney don't come back and it's just them. I hate it. Like, Kirby's not a legacy character like the rest, but like the fact that they're all returning, like this is where you start creating new legacy characters, right?
So they sent out a press release about the 4 people coming back yesterday. They sent out a press release about Hayden Panettiere. Courtney Cox said she's coming back. She was doing an interview.
I'm not saying like what will be. I'm just saying I'd be fine if it was.
I get what you're saying. Like they can come back later. I agree with that. I'm not like they have to be in this movie. And I
feel like the natural progression here that we're all kind of predicting is that one of the legacy characters gets killed every movie.
Sure.
Which finally, now we got Courtney and then Nev finally and stuff like that. And like that seems a bit predictable at this point. I wouldn't hate it, but like why when you can break conventions in a fun way, why not do that?
Yeah, so we'll see. The only thing we know plot wise is it's not in Woodsboro, because 2 and 3 were not, but then 4 and 5 were. That they are. This one will not be set in Woodsboro.
It's going to be on the moon.
It'll be on the moon. But psyched that Kirby's back. I mean, it was there'd been such a little fan thing to even. We never got 100% confirmed she died in 4. It seemed like a long shot, but then they decided to do that Easter egg. And
wouldn't it be funny if obviously this is already, this is already travel territory, but if they went back to Hollywood and it was on the set of Rian Johnson's Scream follow-up. And he gets to be in the movie himself.
Well, they wanted him to be in the last one, but he was filming Knives Out too.
Didn't he shoot like a press conference scene, or was that
it was conceived that like they didn't shoot it, but that he was going to do like a junket interview. Yeah.
Anyway, that was a lot of fun to read today on the old interwebs, the information superhighway, the World Wide Web. It's a place where the hackers live. Hackers like Lex from Jurassic Park. All right. Next bit of news is there's a new Doctor Who. Now, this doesn't affect me per se.
I was like, I had to take a second to be like, why did Matt put this down here? Neither of us follow Doctor Who. Neither of us care. We're not anti Doctor Who, mind you. It's just not something that we follow. So
and it's also way, obviously people can say you can jump in at this season, that season, but like it's, I don't know. I just got too much on my plate. I've seen a few episodes and they were good, but nothing that's specifically called out to me. But anyway, I should mention that like I wanted to bring this up because Sex Education's Shuti Gatwa. Yeah. So a show that I've recommended as one of my good things to enjoy, Sex Education, the rare Netflix show that's coming back for a 4th season these days, where Shuti Gatwa is one of the main cast members on that show, and he's excellent as Asa Butterworth's best friend, Eric Goldman. Eric Goldman from the Valley. He is great on the show, so I was excited to hear that he will be the next Doctor who will take charge of the TARDIS and do all the adventures. Also, I didn't realize this, but it was in the news story, so I learned it because of that. He's in the Barbie movie with Margot Robbie.
Oh, Barbie Robbie. Okay.
It's just called Shooty and Robbie.
Anyway. I have no response to that.
My response to that is to just once again recommend Sex Education.
No, I knew what you were doing. I mean,
which is available on Netflix.
And I was like, why is he? Oh, yeah. Okay.
Also, to mention the fact that the fan support online in the comments has been nothing but positive and supportive of this casting choice. Yes. No, in fact, I mean the exact opposite. It's been toxic and disgusting. I don't even need to read it.
He's not a white guy.
And, or a straight guy. So yeah, it's one of those things where I don't speak out the comments. I mean, like we've had conversations, Eric, where it's like, where's all this hate coming from? And you're like, oh, the comments.
Right.
But people, when I retweeted the story, people were like, oh, don't read the comments. So I don't need to. I can imagine them.
Sure.
I know exactly how it goes.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Think about the worst of humanity.
Now think about what they might type. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And another thing. So this actually, the teaser for Avatar: The Way of Water actually, I saw it in the theater before it hit online, watching Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. But then they actually released it in non-theatrical form for everyone to watch online, and it seems like a good sign for the movie, as far as like most people I read are kind of being snarky about it, which is that it racked up 148.6 million views worldwide in its first 24 hours of release, breaking previous records set by new Star Wars films. And again, we've talked about the avatars on this podcast and the fact that like, who knows how it's going to do domestically. One of the reasons it was again the biggest movie of all time is because of the worldwide box office. Mm-hmm. This was a movie that resonated around the world. Like, so we can even if it's cooled off here in the States, in North America, it has not elsewhere. And just to try to spread a little bit of positivity and to let everyone know where I stand on this, I want to see Avatar: The Way of Water, and I want it to be good, and I want it to do well. I think the teaser looked great. I love the music. I don't know if it's actually Hans Zimmer's score or something else that they're using, but I love it. I'm excited for it. And I feel like I'm in the minority here. Again, I understand why it's an easy target, because it is not like maintained. It's not in the decade since it came out. The MCU has taken over, and Avatar has sort of been long forgotten, to the point where like people don't even remember the names of the characters and so on. And also the fact that James Cameron is filming multiple sequels back to back feels like even for someone with a track record of Cameron, feels like an arrogant risk. So I understand like why people would want to pile on this movie a bit, but now I'm excited to see it.
I look forward to it as well. But yes, there's too much nobody cares to a like, what are you trying to prove? And it's kind of a ridiculous statement at a certain point because people will care. And this teaser, which I thought was, very pretty looking, but didn't like wow me. But again, I always keep in mind with teasers, I mentioned this on the podcast before, most teasers, a teaser like this one is meant to tell most people this movie exists because a lot of people aren't online all the time and they are not following that like, oh, this is taking forever and blah, blah, blah. And so this was, this movie opens in December. Guess what? There's going to probably be like 3 more trailers. So this is like, this movie exists and it looks pretty. And the fact that it was in theaters first, which is a rare thing these days, they eventized it, but that also speaks to it being very notable how many people watched it. We should mention, of course, it beat all the recent Star Wars movies, which is notable. Didn't beat everything. It didn't beat the hugest Marvel movies. But again, those are in a realm of their own. But yeah, I will be shocked if Avatar: The Way of Water doesn't make at least $1 billion worldwide. Because again, the first one made the better part of 3 billion. So even if I think it will have a notable drop from the first one, it's not going to be the biggest movie ever, the sequel. And yet it's still going to make $1 billion unless it like absolutely sucks, which it won't because it's James Cameron. So even if you say, I don't like the story, it's boring, people will still say it's beautiful and great and you should see it just to see it. I
love The Abyss and I don't like the final 15 minutes of that movie. Like, really what I like about The Abyss is like, there's a solid 45-minute stretch in the middle of that film that's hard to beat. Like that like is better than most full-length movies.
Right.
Yeah. So even like when I'm just saying, I think it looks pretty. I'll probably even see it. I'll break my 3D rule, Eric, because
no, same here. Yeah.
I'm going to see it in 3D because the 3 films that 3D during that very brief window of the 3D heyday that came back, that worked for me were Avatar, Tron Legacy, and How to Train Your Dragon. And like those were the 3 where I was like, wow, this is working. This works.
And My Bloody Valentine.
And you know what? That's a good movie.
It is a good movie, and it had fun with like old school 3D, pickaxe in your face,
pickaxe in the eye, and stuff like that. Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, so no,
and so will Way of Water. It'll have a lot of pickaxes going into people's eyes, into Navi eyes all over the place. It's going to be so violent that everyone's like, why isn't this rated R?
Right. Why isn't this NC-17?
I don't understand why Multiverse of Madness is an NC-17. Pizza Papa alone should have gotten that a hard
balls.
X.
What a monster!
Talking about free food in different universes. X rating. I think that's it for the news.
I put in one.
What is it? What is it?
I'm sad that Saved by the Bell got canceled.
Oh yeah, me too.
I'm not surprised because it was taking too long. But sad. And
don't cry because it happened. Or don't cry because it's gone. Be sad because it happened. Be happy because it happened. Whatever that idiom.
Whatever
is.
The saying is. Yeah, it was really good. And I was hopeful that they could just do 2 more short seasons and they could graduate high school and it'd be like the original with a lot less episodes. It's so ethereal what a success level is for these streaming sites. The show certainly got good reviews. It actually won a GLAAD award about a month ago when it was already suspicious they hadn't said anything. So when they tweeted out Peacock, like, congratulations on this GLAAD award-winning Saved by the Bell, people were like, oh, now you're mentioning the show. But yeah, it got canceled.
Don't cry because it's over. Smile that it happened, I believe, is somewhat close to the actual saying. I will also say that it set up a really sort of addictive ship on that show that now will never quite pay off.
I know.
So, and I don't mean Jesse and Slater. I'm talking about the students, but yeah. So
although Jesse and Slater had some high investment,
too. They did. They were great. Everyone was great,
and I liked how the second season, the original, other people like Gosler was in it a lot more. And yeah, it's too bad.
It was a fun show. I think one of us recommended it as the good thing to enjoy. I still think, even though it's not getting a third season, I think it's worth
completely
everyone watching those 2 seasons. It tells a story.
Yep.
Maybe there's like some gentle cliffhangering, but that's it.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we have a big mailbag this week. People writing in, not just because of the Hudson Hawkness of it all over on Patreon, but also because of the Jurassic Parkness. Like, it's a movie that people are. It turns out, again, Eric, that not only is it a good movie, but other people love that movie, not just you and me.
What?
I know that comes as a huge shock, but let's see what we got here. We've got Michael writing into Patreon. These are all Patreon, by the way.
Some were comments, some were messages.
Yeah. So basically, Michael writes, I'm so excited for you two to cover the Jurassic franchise. The original is one of my all-time favorite movies and the first movie to make me understand and love what goes into making a good movie. Jurassic Park is so damn quotable and memeable. It's a fixture of pop culture and kind of the gold standard of quote unquote still holds up. The movie is so powerful that even the dinosaurs it intentionally changed or got wrong became mainstream dino facts as far as most people are concerned. I now have to stop or this message will never end. Non-dinosaur related comment to Eric. You were right about Vin. Like Vin Diesel being the reason that.
Yeah. Well, that wasn't my craziest theory ever. So
he's like, yeah, you want to hear something completely batshit? The world is flat and it was Vin Diesel's fault.
Hard to work with.
All right. And then Michael keeps writing in. The Lost World was one of my most anticipated sequels as a kid. I enjoyed it for the first time, but it didn't click with me the way the original did. I rewatched it with my family a few years ago in preparation for Jurassic World. I got to say, I don't give the film enough credit. The trailer cliff scene was worth the price of admission, not to mention the terror in the tall grass / raptor scene. So while it's not my favorite of the franchise, it might be my second, and there's a lot to love about it. Side note, your questions about the shaving cream can and the JP vet were addressed in Telltale's Jurassic Park: The Game. It focused on the doctor and features the mercenaries who are sent to retrieve the can when Nedry doesn't show up on the boat. It also shows Jurassic Park attractions that weren't in the movie, like a level with a Herrerasaurus fight on a roller coaster. So Telltale's Jurassic Park game, apparently, aside from the animated series, is the game is the property that most addresses that shaving cream can.
But I was going to say, this has happened, obviously with Star Wars and other properties where you get almost like conflicting things. I'm guessing we're to take the animated series has the canon answer, although I haven't seen it, so I don't know what they.
Well, the Telltale game is like picks up right after Jurassic Park, because when Nedry doesn't show up on the boat, maybe they still have like 24 hours to get that can, right?
Right. But yeah,
that's what I took the message to mean.
Since Trevorrow and Spielberg and Frank Marshall are all producers on the animated series, I assume that's supposed to be it, but who knows? I will say, getting ahead of ourselves a little bit, but I did like realizing that in the Lost World, they say that 3 people died in the first one, which is not correct, but that's because they don't know that Nedry died.
I was going to say, they probably don't they probably think this Ned just left the island, right?
Yep.
Like there's no reason to think he was dead. And then Joey writes into Patreon, I love Jurassic Park. Me, my dad, and my sister saw the movie 5 times in the theater. It's my personal record. Nowadays, if I really love a movie, I'll see it twice in the theater. But during the summer of '93, my family became a bunch of Eric Goldmans. I like to think that a tiny Eric Goldman. Yeah, I like to think that a tiny Eric Goldman lives inside the heart of all of us, which I think too, Eric. I think inside us, inside everyone, lives 2 Eric Goldmans.
Oh my God! And fighting.
Yeah, which one do you feed?
Which one do you carve out? Do you know who is in the Jurassic World animated series, Matt?
Who is in as a voice?
Yes.
Or as someone trapped inside the actual.
I don't think that.
Okay. Who?
Mentioned already on this podcast, Jenna Ortega is one of the voices on that show.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Did she play her character from X?
No, she plays Brooklyn, a popular influencer, I believe.
Oh, that sounds like the name of a popular influencer to me.
That's right.
Okay, and then we've got a couple of, I'm thinking, the rest are not about Jurassic Park. Richard writes in, happy to be a Hudson Hawk, y'all. I listen to your podcast as soon as it's available every week, and I'm glad to support it in any way I can. I'm looking forward to all the Jurassic main events and whatever comes up next. Keep up the work, guys. Thank you, Richard. We appreciate that. Dwight writes in, hey, Matt and Eric, thank you so much for the fantastic podcast. I've been a casual listener of your various projects for many years, having first discovered channel surfing in 2009. I found a lot of our tastes align, and you both introduced me to many films that have become staples in my household, Trick or Treat and Heathers, just to name a couple. For some reason, Matt sing-songing Jamie's an orphan from Halloween 4 has lived rent-free in my head for the better part of a decade. As I'm sure is the case for most people, my podcast habits ebb and flow, and I eventually fell off listening to you. I was delighted to discover We Enjoy last summer and have been a dedicated listener ever since. I've been considering joining the ranks of your Patreon for a little while now, but upon seeing the shiny new Hudson Hawk tier, I knew I just had to take the plunge and catch the Hawk. Actual question now from Dwight. Eric has mentioned numerous times that he is a dedicated physical media collector. I typically am as well when it comes to movies and video games. However, I found myself running short on space over and over again. I got to the point where I had to take all my DVDs out of the cases, put them in a binder to free up room for the Blu-rays. How have you been able to manage your collection over these years, Eric? He wants to know.
It's
tricky, wait, he wants to know. He wants to know your secrets.
I don't have a great secret. I mean, I did call down at one point because I had a ridiculous amount, including just some crappy ones, especially when I worked at IGN. I would end up like taking home a bunch of freebies that I didn't necessarily need, you know. I was just so I got rid of some and was, like, what are the movies I really care about? And these days it's either like, just, big movies I care about. And then all this like Shout Factory stuff and like the cult stuff, I definitely keep. It's tricky though, man. One thing I'll have to say I'm doing a lot more is like, I have to kind of like stack them. I can't see all the titles, which makes it hard because just the way my shelves work, I'm like, if I tried to actually display them, I wouldn't have the room. So there's a lot more like, a stack in front of another stack. And sometimes I have to dig to find something. Because it's not nearly as orderly as I'd like it to be. So I wish I had a better answer for you. And then also I have even some I'm looking over at my closet right now, because that's where some of them are in some other shelves over there. So my long answer here is no great answer. It gets very difficult.
Stacks on stacks on stacks.
Stacks on stacks. But thank you for all that, Dwight. And thank you for your long time listening, even if it was casual, because 2009, channel surfing was only a year old at that point. So that's awesome.
Okay. So Sam wrote into Patreon. Actually, also, he's like, right before we announced, he wrote this in before listening to last week's podcast. Right before we announced the Hudson Hawk tier, he was writing about, have you thought about Patreon exclusive content? It could be season wrap-ups of shows you don't cover, like Barry, Atlanta, etc. Uncut interviews or readings of old scripts you've written. He wants us to read my old X-Men script.
Ooh,
I don't even know. I don't even know how to access that. I feel like a lot of my old scripts are on like actual like 3/4 inch and or floppy disks.
Right.
And then speaking of longtime fans, there was an episode of Channel Surfing that I remember where you two told the story of someone stealing Eric's cookie in grade school. It was middle school to Sam. I haven't been able to find the episode since. I feel bad that he may have actually gone searching for this story somehow. But anyway, am I insane or did this happen? Catch the Hawk, Sam. P.S. I'm making a Home Depot run. Can I get you anything? Yes, Sam, a level. I would love a level.
Sure.
Okay. You are not insane. It did happen in middle school.
I lived it.
And it was Steve Milan.
Yes, the dreaded
stealer of Eric's cookie, injurer of Eric's back.
Permanent injury of Eric's back.
That still plagues him to this day, decades later, Steve Milan. Steve Milan wasn't like a bully.
No.
He was sort of a fun time dick. Like it was a prankster whose pranks were not welcome, where it's sort of like
sometimes you watch movies and you're like, why did they hang out with that asshole? We did it. And again, he was actually a nice person.
Yeah, it was like he was like our Stabone, right? Like, right. But also kind of like You know how like Johnny Knoxville is like, hey, it'd be a good prank if I actually put on an extensive amount of prosthetic makeup and pretended I was old and we'd go out in public. Well, Steve Milan's like prank is like, what if I ate your cookie?
What if I took your cookie?
What if I took your hat?
What if,
and then
what if I took money from your wallet? Do you remember that one, Matt? When I visited?
No. His whole MO was, what if I stole from you?
This is when I visited,
which is a very New York thing.
After
it's like I just lightly mug you all the time.
Right. After I moved back to LA, I was in town probably when my mom was still living there, and I visited you at Columbia Prep, and I spent kind of the day going around classes with you. And
back when like you could show up and then your friend could spend the day in school with you. That's nothing that can happen anymore.
Yes.
But
at least I'd gone there. But yeah, but at some
but your friend Steven showed up and just went around with you.
He did. But yeah, at some point there was something in my wallet everyone was looking at, like. It was too early for me to have a driver's license, but I don't know. There was something that people were looking at, and Steve casually took some cash. He gave it back. He wasn't actually going to keep it, but it was classic Steve.
You know what he couldn't give back? Your cookie.
He could not give back my cookie.
Did he eat it?
I don't remember. I fell down trying to get it back from him.
I think the point is,
at least that time I didn't permanently injure my back. Like
I think Steven's thing was, he wants to take something from you to the point where you have to. It was very, very Jigsaw. You have to injure yourself to get it back. Like in order to retrieve what was taken from you, you have to sacrifice.
You have to sacrifice. Yeah. This cookie. You put so much purpose in this cookie.
Okay. No, you are not insane, Sam. It happened. Okay. Scott writes in, hey guys, love all your podcasts and written content. Basically, I have a question about TV writing credits and different titles. In one of your episodes where Eric recommended Fringe, he said J.J. Abrams wrote 2 episodes. How do shows differentiate between writers, episode writers, writers' room staff, showrunner, etc.? Seems confusing how one person gets credited as a writer on an episode. They literally write all the dialogue in a scene and scene directions with no help from anyone else on the staff. If so, how do you make your living as a writer if your IMDb has you listed with like 10 writing credits? Sorry for the long post. Keep up the great work. Scott from New Jersey. Scott, I don't think like even if you have your single name on a script, it doesn't mean that you singularly wrote it. But yeah, maybe the typing part. But as far as the idea part, it's not just all you.
So first of all, I'm glad he brought this up because I actually remember doing this episode and that night looking up and being like, oh, Abrams wrote 6 episodes of Fringe, actually way more than I thought he did. 5 in the first season and then the season premiere, I think, of 2. It is complicated. I mean, the main thing, and again, things are always changing and evolving with how everything's working these days. But on a TV show, typically where you have a writer's room, certainly for network TV, everyone would get their shot at writing an episode or 2 a season, with the huge caveat that the showrunner will rewrite it. And will they rewrite almost everything, or will they change a little bit? That's completely up to the showrunner and the show and their style. And it is an accepted thing that it's like, because you want to have your name on that script and get more money and be part of your contract and all, even though there are definitely episodes of TV where the listed writer probably didn't write a lot of the dialogue and what you saw on screen, because it is a group effort, and then the showrunner will rewrite it everyone anyway. So yeah, it's now in the case of Abrams, that's very different, because by the time of Fringe, he's JJ freaking Abrams. That doesn't mean he didn't get rewritten, because he wasn't in Fringe every day. He was too busy to. So they might have still, the showrunners on Fringe might have given another pass just to make sure everything's linking up. But yeah, for your average writer on a TV show, they did not necessarily write everything in an episode that you saw from them. Even though, you and I, Matt, certainly when we were watching a lot of like shows that had a strong voice, whether they were like Abrams shows or Whedon shows, you would start to notice like, the Drew Goddards or the
names would stand
Edwin's,
out as far as like more imaginative episodes with a certain vibe, a tone.
Right. They might give that writer a certain type of episode because they realize that that's their strength. So so I don't have a good answer fully for this because it's complicated and it really varies show to show. But the more you read about this stuff, the more you see and how much it varies show to show. Because also, like, wasn't it Mad Men, where like, I don't know, like there's shows where it's like you kind of know that the showrunner will do like a page one rewrite of almost every script versus others who might just give it a light little pass at the end.
And then there's insane shows like Vikings, where Michael Hurst for 7 seasons wrote every episode. Right. And that's just how he does it. He writes all of the TV show. He did that for the Tudors as well. So yeah.
I guess I'd say to Scott asking, did one person do it all? Almost never, unless someone like you're talking about, Matt, where they don't even really use a writer's room and they just are truly writing it all, which is usually a miniseries, but once in a while not. Otherwise, many people probably had a hand in most TV show scripts. Certainly, if they're an old school network show that's doing 13 to 22 episodes.
All right. Let's get into our good things to enjoy. What you got, Eric? What's it going to be this week?
So this is why we talk a lot about the difference between things we've definitely said we liked, but we're not official recommendations.
Because before this, I was like, didn't you recommend this? He did, but in a different context.
In a different context. And so I'm about to say words that I should never, that you or I know better to say. I'll keep this brief because I've talked about this and then I won't. But I'm officially
technically you're Hudson Hawking here a little bit, but yeah, go for it. Because you went through a spiel with it. You just know you did. That's the difference between you and me.
No, I'm more officially recommending as my thing to enjoy Licorice Pizza, which obviously opened in theaters like 6 months ago and has been on digital for several weeks. I thought of it because I got sent a press release of the Blu-ray, which is coming out this coming week. And usually, Matt, sometimes I'll just throw in my little like Blu-ray recommendation and then go to something else. But I'm like, maybe I'm being lazy. But I'm just like, I'm just going to officially recommend Licorice Pizza because I was going through the Blu-ray. It was my favorite movie last year. I know it's an interesting. First of all, I know Matt doesn't love this movie, and it's interesting because it was I think I can safely call it a critically acclaimed movie. It's got like a 90% on Rotten Tomatoes, and it got a bunch of Oscar nominations. But it's a very divisive movie, and it's divisive for two different reasons, by the way, which is things that actually people are not comfortable with, but also for the fact that it's like a hangout movie that's not very plot driven, and some people just don't also like that type of movie. It'll always come down because I think the people who say they don't like that type of movie, they don't really mean that. It just means like, how much time did you like spending with these characters in this world?
Because those people probably still like, I don't know, Dazed and Confused or
exactly. Yeah, Dazed and Confused is a hangout movie. Fast Times is a movie where the light, like Dazed and Confused has no plot except we'll pink sign that slip of paper. Otherwise, it's just like we're hanging out with these kids in one night. Fast Times is the same for a school year. Licorice Pizza is the same for a little more ethereal amount of time. Some people have joked about it. We're not quite clear if this is a few weeks or a few months. I think it's a few months. But no, I've seen this movie several times. I really, I love Paul Thomas Anderson in general. But I really love the vibe of this movie and especially the two, lead performances, which are, very impressive because neither of them had acted in a film before. And as much as they had like impressive like resumes for pedigrees, I should say, because Cooper Hoffman didn't have a resume. He just happened to be the son of a great actor. That doesn't mean he would be a great actor, but he was. Alana Haim obviously would have stage presence because she is in a rock band, but she still hadn't acted. And their performances, I think, are just really stand out. And I think that's like the thing I can unequivocally, not that I unequivocally recommend this movie no matter what, but I understand there are a lot of caveats, and I'll get in a second. This is why I will go long about the controversial nature of this movie. The fact that I could unequivocally say, hey, these two actors are great, and they're kind of two great discoveries, even though one was already famous in a different way, for what they're doing here. As for the controversial nature of it, there's the two main things, which is it's kind of racist towards Asian people, which watching the movie, it's not my place to say in some regard, I'll say, except to say, I see why it is offensive and why he should have cut it, even if I can see why he didn't think that. It does show a very blind spot that he can't even see why people are upset. It's supposed to be grouped in with the fact that this one character is racist because all the male adults in the movie are kind of assholes in different ways, and that's how that guy's an asshole. But it's still going to be different when he's racist towards Asian people and there's no Asian people that are main characters in the movie. I think that's the main thing where I'm like, yeah, we don't get to like see the people that he is shitty about get their own.
I always took it as the idea that if you can remove that and it doesn't change the story, why is it there if it's not necessary in any sort of way, discernible way? Right, I think that's what people were taking a lot of umbrage with too, where it's like, was this supposed to be make people laugh in the audience? Was this supposed to be funny? Was this supposed to or was this less like some sort of like slice of life surreal silliness? Because it doesn't pay off or play out in any way that's integral to the tale, So
right.
When it feels random, then it and the movie could take it or leave it. Then I understand why people would be more upset about it. But also it evokes a different era of filmmaking that may just not strike, meaning like the independent films of the 90s or things where you did have more random elements in it that just sort of play out, whether they come from the director or writer's life and that's just insertion. I don't know, but sometimes these things that we are used to in watching movies for the past 40 years, people new eyes aren't used to. So
yeah, I also think it's just like, here's my strange like in defense of but not in defense of, which is to say, like, there's no payoff to it. This character comes in and he's just like, comically buffoonish and racist, and there's no payoff because he doesn't get called out on it. Nothing bad happens to him. The women that he's with, nothing, we don't get to know them. My pseudo defense as far as like seeing intent, but not how it paid off. And again, thinking Paul Thomas Anderson should have understood this, is that there's one of my favorite scenes in the movie is when they take when Alana goes to meet with the agent, and it's just a wonderful performance by Harriet Sansom Harris, who's a stage actress, and she kind of steals the movie in this one scene, and she's hysterical. And part of her many things she's doing in this scene is being casually anti-Semitic to Alana, and keeps bringing up her very Jewish nose and laughs in her face when she says she speaks Hebrew, because why would that be helpful at all in Hollywood? And there's no payoff on that. None of the characters mention it. Alana doesn't mention it. Gary doesn't mention it. There's no like comeuppance, but Alana is one of the main characters of the movie. So it's like, for her, by seeing that through her eyes, it's just like, that's part of her life. She'll deal with a little of anti-Semitism, where I think with the Jerry character and his two Asian wives, because we don't get to know them as characters, it's like, then it just feels just random. Like,
yeah, well, like, exactly. When people are just kind of, if you could ask, but why, then I don't know, maybe as a filmmaker, you need to sort of take stock a little bit, but why? 100%. Why is it there?
Yeah. 100%. Oh, you go for it.
No, I'm fine. I don't need to talk about like my feelings on the movie. I already said them, but yeah.
And then of course the other main thing is it's about a 15-year-old and a 25-year-old in a flirtatious relationship. And that one, that's a tricky one.
That was more my where I sort of got snagged on a few thorns. The ending, really. I just the ending had a moment that I didn't need.
Yeah,
and that I don't even think I don't think the movie needed. But yeah.
And it's by the way, I agree with you, Matt. The first time I saw the movie, I knew I really was loving it, and then that ending made me go, and I still wish it was a little different. And I wish there was a little extra beat or something to maybe make it land different. But I was, not only did I love the rest of the movie, those two other parts aside, but also on repeat viewing, it was just like really like the things that worked about it stood out so much that, yeah, I don't love the final beat of the movie for that reason. I think the rest of the movie completely works as far as like, their friendship and him pining for her. And the rapport they have. I love that, and I love their performances. I wish the very, very, very end was a slightly different
and
thing.
What we mean the mid-credit sequence when Thanos shows up.
Yes, I thought that was abrupt, and I thought they hadn't earned it yet. But no, all that being said is me saying that this is a movie that I really love to spend time. Like, it's just and again, it's gonna be one of those things, like, whether you're into these characters, and this world or not. Because hangout movies, I like. I guess a lot of people call them like shaggy movies that are just like
who says
about
that?
like
Who are these
the
people?
vibe. Jason Mantzoukas says it all the time, but then I started reading it a lot with Licorice Pizza. Actually, it's
Shaggy movies.
Yeah,
I gotta say, I don't like that. Yeah. I don't like that moniker. I'm not a fan of that title.
I'm totally cool with a movie being quote unquote plotless, which I don't ever really believe, but plotless in the fact that it's not about like a huge MacGuffin, a huge this is what they are trying to accomplish by the end of it. It's more of a character study, and I really like the characters being studied here. So anyway, and then I'll just say that the Blu-ray, I wish it had a lot more stuff on it. I like the behind the scenes stuff they show, and it did throw me, Matt. As much as we are at this point, I'm used to obviously seeing pictures of directors on set with masks. All the behind the scenes stuff they show, because it's like, so they did such a great job of recreating 1973, but then you see like them running through scenes before masks on. I'm like, oh, kind of threw me. But also I feel like, why is this movie not on 4K? And why is there not more extras? And then I'm like, all of his Paul Thomas Anderson stuff all goes to Criterion Collection, so they're going to double dip us on this one. So
yeah, they're going to get your money twice. But you didn't pay for this, so it's fine.
I didn't pay for this, but I'll pay for the Criterion that is probably going to be announced in a few months.
I'm paying for that burrito I ate earlier, let me tell you. All right, I am going to keep mine brief just because you didn't, which is that I am recommending a wonderful overseas series called Dairy Girls, which you can watch the first, if you are here in North America, you can watch the first 2 seasons on Netflix. The 3rd season is airing right now in the UK. So it will eventually land on Netflix. I have not seen series 3 of Dairy Girls, but it is a delightful comedy. It is, I don't think I would put it into the cringe comedy category, though it is about teen girls in a Catholic secondary school and the awkward and hilarious trouble that they get into. It is not on in-betweeners level, which is like boss level, pace around the room, hide in the closet, like embarrassing comedy. This is sort of like mid-card version of that, but it is excellent. It is set in Derry, Northern Ireland, during, I believe it's like 1994, during a time which is basically known as the Troubles, or the end of the Troubles, because that's sort of the conflict in Northern Ireland that lasted about 30 years and was sort of like a low-level war between Ireland and the UK over the occupation, the UK's occupation of Northern Ireland, which for people who aren't familiar with the actual geography of it, like Northern Ireland belongs to the UK. That's where Belfast is as the major city. And then the rest of Ireland is separate from the UK. It is Ireland. It's the Republic of Ireland. So this was the time when the IRA, the Irish Republican Army, was like out, doing bombings and like trying to fight back in sort of like guerrilla warfare ways. And then U2 sang a song called Sunday Bloody Sunday, and everyone was like that. Anyway, it's in the 90s in Northern Ireland, and it's very funny. And it's about basically 4 girls who are about like 16 and 15, and then one of their cousins who's a boy, but he also, through funny happenstance, goes to their girls' school, and is sort of an unofficial dairy girl of the 5th member of this.
But he's not disguised as a girl.
No, he is not. This is not Tango and Cash
or Bosom Buddies
or man, what was the one with John Candy and Eugene Levy?
Oh yeah.
Armed and Dangerous.
Armed and Dangerous. I was thinking, I thought you were going to say with Ronnie Dangerfield, Ladybugs.
Ladybugs. This is not a Ladybug situation. But this is a very, very funny show. It's got a Game of Throners on it as the grandpa. But yeah, it's funny. It's got 90s soundtrack like Cranberries and Ace of Base and stuff like that. And I recommend it in 2 seasons. So it's a quick watch so far. I think there's 12 episodes so far. So there you go. You can watch it on Netflix and then get yourself all primed and ready for the 4th season. It's also funny because one of the actresses, obviously they're all older than 16 and 15,
Right.
Most are in their 20s, but one of them is literally in her mid 30s. So it's one of those situations where
It's a
it's like,
Gabriel Kateris situation.
yeah, exactly.
Haven't seen this show, Matt, but about 2 months ago, my lovely wife Trish watched it all and loved it, and then was like, "Is there more?" And I told her there is more coming, and she was very happy to hear that.
I'm not quite aware of Trisha's like tolerance levels for awkward, embarrassing comedies, because I don't know if she can handle in-betweeners. Has she watched Pen 15?
No,
because that's like almost in-betweeners level, and it might be actually in-betweeners level if you're like are a girl who was a girl in middle school and like can relate to it more.
And she was in fact a girl in middle school.
Exactly. Which means like it might resonate on like a much higher frequency for her and make it either more watchable or less watchable depending on what she likes.
Well, I wanted to watch that show, so perhaps I will suggest we watch it together and we see if she continues or not.
Dairy Girls. And since you've completed the spreadsheet, right? Completed, or have one episode left?
I believe I completed it. Yeah.
Did I recommend Pen 15?
Not that I saw. All
right. Well, that takes care of next week.
I feel like someone would have remembered and mercilessly taunted you at this point.
That's true. But I'm saying like I will we'll find out next week when I recommend it and someone will call me out on it. Okay. Dairy Girls, though, is the one I'm recommending. And let's head into The Lost World. It's a world, but it's lost, Eric.
The Lost World Jurassic Park.
There was a second island. The
Lost World Jurassic Park. Do you remember
Isla
that?
Isla
Do you remember the toy commercials?
No.
The toy commercials, Matt, had a little jingle that went, The Lost World Jurassic Park.
I mean, that's a good jingle.
It is a good jingle.
I mean, will it be stuck in my head for the next 20 years? Yes. I really actually also like the Lost World theme. We get a few cues of the Jurassic Park theme in this movie, but I like that this movie doesn't just recycle that theme as its theme, and it has its own darker, sort of more somber, lower scaled orchestral piece, because this is sort of a darker, more violent movie in certain ways.
And by the way, for some reason, well, I think I know why, because I bought it at a used CD store, which is a thing we used to go to. I had the score to this one and not the first one. So I actually listened to this lovely score many times.
This movie, it's weird now that movies I like, what does Way of Water cost, Eric? The budget on Way of Water? It's absurd.
Right? A lot.
It's like 500 million or something crazy. This movie, so it makes sense when you scale it back to the year it was made, but this movie was made for 73 million, which feels like pocket change at this point.
Yeah.
And there was more computer effects used, more dinosaurs, more everything. Sort of like the sequel factor was in effect in its totality for The Lost World. But I do respect the fact that it wasn't a rushed sequel. It's not like 2 years later. They literally waited for Michael Crichton to write the book that they could adapt for this.
It was 4 years, and typically you want to get within 3 years on your sequel.
Yeah. But that didn't hurt this movie necessarily. No. Like this was a huge hit, and it was
Spielberg biggest opening weekend ever at that when it opened.
Spielberg was back. They adapted The Lost World. They changed a lot of it. David Koepp came back to write the script and adapt the book. Changed a lot of the middle part, and then also changed the ending because Spielberg, who has had an idea for dinosaurs on the mainland for a third movie, kind of Spider-Man 3 venomed it into the end of this movie because he knew he wasn't going to direct a third movie, and he wanted to direct basically a T-Rex rampaging in the suburbs and down.
Right. Because keep in mind, Spielberg in his career, only sequels he's done are the Indiana Jones sequels and this one. He didn't do Jaws 2, and he just flat out refused to do a sequel to E.T. and stuff like that. So it was notable that he even did one more Jurassic Park.
There's a Jason Takes Manhattan feel to this movie where the third act feels like it's.
I mean, at least they didn't promote it as dinosaurs.
No.
It was a nice surprise when you.
It's literally called The Lost World. It's not called T-Rex Takes San Diego. It's called The Lost World, though the trailers definitely played up that T-Rex charging into the bus. You know what I mean? Like everyone, you're like,
I
oh
remember
shit.
that.
Oh yeah, like oh shit, they're here, they're among us, they're attacking our public transportation. But yeah, so and then the original, and I think you brought this up last week, the original idea they had coming off of Jurassic Park was that it would involve the retrieval of that canister, and that the Dodgson character in fact the book included a rival company rival company to InGen,
right?
That I can't remember the name of, but instead they changed it to just make basically like InGen itself was the enemy because the nephew had taken over, and they just sort of reworked it.
Did you I actually watched the deleted scenes last night when I watched this movie that were on my Apple digital version, which there's only two deleted scenes. One is showing Roland being kind of recruited by his buddy to do this mission, but the other one clearly would have been the second scene of the movie, because it's showing introduces Peter, Arliss Howard's character, Hammond's nephew, in an InGen boardroom, and it shows when they vote to do a hostile takeover, basically, and take the company for Hammond. But it's also the scene that's interesting because it's where they go over all the money that they had to pay in lawsuits from the families of the people who were killed in the first movie. And they're like, Gennaro's family got 36 million and Arnold's family got 22 million. It's funny. I like who got the most.
It's interesting that like be specific, but also kind of like, well, it makes sense that the lawyer's family would get more because they
and who was what's that? Who's clever girl? I wanted to say
Muldoon.
Muldoon
with his bulging thighs.
Muldoon was in the teens or something, but again, Nedry's not mentioned because it's like they didn't know,
Well, this is my question: was InGen name dropped in the first movie at all as the company?
Its name was seen for sure,
but like, did Hammond ever say InGen? Because it seems like all of a sudden it's InGen, and even if it was on a sign or something in the first
I don't
movie,
know if they said it out loud. I think they must have once or twice. Hammond didn't say it, but I think it was said once or twice, and it was definitely on, like, the logo was seen on, their equipment and things.
All right. And what was the other thing? You said Roland Tembo was being recruited by who?
It wasn't being recruited, but it was his buddy who, remember when he's sad that his friend died?
AJ. Okay.
AJ.
Let's bring this up right at the top here.
Yeah.
I do believe that AJ is an actor in brownface. So let's bring out the fact that this part was supposed to be played by an Indian actor to begin with, and then it went to, I think, a British white actor. I don't think it was even a British Indian actor. I could be wrong though. I am out here just being wrong possibly, but I feel like he was in brownface, which obviously wouldn't have been a huge controversy at the time, but certainly isn't a good look now.
Looking at pictures of him, here's what I'm surmising, and God, we might be going down the terrible roads here, but I think he was ethnic, but multiple times, just an IMDb,
he has played different ethnicities.
Just a Google image of him, I see that they made his skin darker in multiple roles.
Yes. So I just feel like he's played brownface a lot of times.
So I think it's like an actor who, was a mix of different things. But they're like, you kind of look ethnic, which he might have been a little bit, but then they're like, let's put some makeup on you. So yes, I think that did happen to some extent.
All right. Yeah, AJ was the character.
His mom was Marie Goldblatt. That's a Jewish name,
That's
everyone.
what I'm saying. I know. Like, what would Alana Haim think of that?
She wouldn't say anything.
She wouldn't say anything. So, okay. So basically, we get the opening stinger here. Let's just go through do you want to go through the cast as they appear, or just
let's go through as they appear?
All right. So we get the opening stinger. And it's a rich family on a beach, and they've got really butlers with super butlery names like Joffrey and Bernard. And I don't know if it was the Bernard who helped the Osborns or it was someone else, but they're just like popping champagne on the beach, and their daughter's running around, and she comes across sort of one of the new dino stars of the movie, these little wee baby sauruses, which I don't know the names of.
The compies are the nickname. It's like Compa something, but compies.
Okay, compies. Yeah. And they start attacking her. I will say, the movie starts out very odd, which is that the way the mom screams, you think it was a Casey Becker situation. Yeah. She screams the same way the mom screams in the first Scream movie when her daughter's like hung up by her own entrails. And it's kind of like, then later when Hammond sort of briefly mentions that a little girl got injured, and that's why, you know, time is of the essence here, because that's how they got the company taken away from him. And then Ian is really upset. He's like, wait a minute. And he's like, she's fine. She's fine. Do you think she's fine, Eric? The way that mom screamed and the way what we know about Hammond, like, do you
well, I'm gonna go again, not Matt.
I mean,
but the deleted scene.
Okay.
Also, because I thought you were going to mention something else that makes it weird about the beginning, which is mom screams and it turns into a gag because it cuts to Ian yawning in front of that, you know, backdrop of like Hawaii where the train picks him up. And now when I watch the deleted scene, I realized almost 99% sure that scene in the boardroom would have come in between them, because what happens is they also mention that this little girl got attacked. We see a picture of her all bandaged up and how she's going to survive, but her family is very rich. And that means they're going to want to sue us. And we already paid all this money to these families. And then the end of the scene, when it cut away, you could hear a train noise. And I realized that was going to be the cut to Ian. It wouldn't have been
so there's
so
a missing
abrupt.
Scene. No, that is
a missing scene.
But also, is she's going to survive just the baseline for being okay? I get the feeling she was absolutely mauled.
Right. I did, like I said, you only see kind of a picture of her head in a bandage. Maybe she has no lower body anymore.
But again, it's also a few minutes before we learn she survived.
Yeah.
Right? Because we think that these dinosaurs just tore to pieces, and the mom scream certainly suggests that. And then, like you said, it's an awkward transition to Ian in the subway with that really like weird like gum commercial, like sleazy guy, like
that guy,
snapping his fingers and smacking his gum, and he's like a cool guy. Like, feels like
if anyone ever came up to me like that anywhere, I'd be pretty
only in New York. Didn't people approach you on the subway in New York like that all the time?
Yeah, that's true.
And also briefly, Ian Abercrombie just shows up as the butler.
Yes, that was so strange how briefly he's in this movie.
But also he would be the butler.
He wasn't like a leading man.
Just a few
he's
years
a
later.
very familiar actor. Yes, and he'd be the voice of the Emperor on the Clone Wars.
So Ian is on his way to see John Hammond. He's been summoned to see him, and right at that moment, the nephew Peter Ludlow's there, taking the company away, and Hammond just basically the story is very quick.
Him and Lex get a cameo.
They do, and it is weird because they also took a sort of an oath of silence after what happened. Like, they're saying, like, everyone.
I realized, and it reminded me, Matt, a little bit of how much we joked about Child's Play 2, and how, you know, we have to take the insinuation if the cops, if no one talked, that made Mike and his partner, like, you know, part of this. And because Alan and Ellie aren't mentioned in this, I'm like, are we to believe that they, like, you know, lied or
no? Exactly.
Didn't
Everyone
speak up about what happened?
Well, also, like,
you know,
they signed NDAs, right? And but it doesn't feel like Ellie and Alan were the kind to be like, well, our hands are tied. They feel like they, like Ian Malcolm, would also like fight this. So it kind of like it kind of like weirdly subtweets them and throws them under the bus as well, as far as like like yeah, you know, Ellie and Alan and the kids, they're all just corporate stooges. The only real hero speaking out, ruining his career.
Everyone has a prize except for Ian Malcolm.
Everyone's got a prize for the $1 million Hammond. All right.
Well, we should mention, as just a funny aside, how book Jurassic Park, Ian died, and then they decided in the Lost World book that they would basically say, no, he didn't. The movie just didn't even have to deal with that because we saw that he survived. But they had to undo his death from the first book to even have him star in the second book.
So I'll say this about the movie. The movie, like the first movie, is very thin. Again, I'm never going to say something has no story because that doesn't exist. It's stupid, but they're very thin movies. We talked about it in the first one, and it doesn't matter. Like, you're going to go to the place and you're going to look around. That's the movie. And then things will happen there, and then you probably want to escape. That's
and there will be set pieces.
Yeah. And so this movie is very...
In Licorice Peach, the set pieces are, now you have to go to John Peters' house. And in this, now the T-Rex want their baby back.
You have to lead this truck down the twisty canyon roads backwards. So the one thing that stands out is the fact that it's very much run like the first movie, and the fact that there's no really strong story. There's a smarmy villain. Makes it to the end of this movie, though, doesn't survive. It makes it to the end, unlike Nedry. But it's the dino murders are turned up to 11 in this movie. Like the ones in the first movie are very memorable, but like we said, there are 3 people that they think died, 4 people who actually died. There are dozens of people who die in this movie.
Yes.
And different dinosaurs killing different people. And it's not even contained to the Lost World itself, because some poor bastard, San Diego, just trying to rent Tom Hanks's Tsunami Sunrise or something from Blockbuster gets eaten. And you mean when they crash into the video store from Last Action Hero? Yes, with the alternate movies, which
I never clocked, or I must have noticed back then, but I forgot about. And this time I was
it was Tom Hanks in Tsunami Sunrise, Arnold
Schwarzenegger and King Lear. Yes,
but then the one that was the least crazy, the least crazy one was Robin Williams, because he did a movie called Jack, but this was Jack and the Beanstalk.
Right.
All right.
Spielberg just thought it'd be really funny if that was what the movie had been.
So this is kind of like the jump between Halloween and Halloween 2, right? Like this is like and it's not like Spielberg doesn't have a track record of going darker with sequels. It's just, it was very noticeable that, and it makes sense too, because it's like, even Ian is like, you mean now there's a new island filled with dinosaurs and there are no fences, like this is going to be more dangerous. This movie also had more people also, just because so if it just stuck to like Ian and Eddie and Nick, was
Sarah,
and Sarah and Kelly, then it would have been more like the first movie. But then you got all these mercenaries that come in, and the hunters and the InGen people and all that stuff. So it's like bodies for the, just a bunch of bantha fodder, as you'd call it. All right. Mm-hmm. So okay, so then we very quickly, Hammond's like, there was another site. There was site B, was the factory floor where we bred the animals, which is weird because we saw the eggs being hatched. Then we moved them into the park off of this site B, which is Isla Sorna. And he wants, what does he want, Eric? He wants people to go there to look, evaluate, see what's going on. I don't know, because we know why InGen goes there, to literally capture these creatures to bring them back to like a Sea World for dinosaurs and San Diego.
Well, but what he wants is what he gets at the end, because as we find out halfway through the movie, he knew this group was going there, so he wanted to get there first to have people basically say, "Hey, let's protect these animals before my shitty nephew tries to take them away." And
but what were they going to do there? How are they going to protect them?
I think it was more about getting it declared like a preserve, like they do at the end of the movie.
Okay. Because like he sends in like the mole here, the stealth operative, which is Nick Van Owen, Earth first mercenary eco-terrorist, played by Vince Vaughn, who at this point, he got this part because Steven Spielberg liked him in Swingers, which was his breakout role. And then, but basically this was one of his sort of first movies following that.
This is his first like big studio thing. Yeah,
because this was right after Swingers, and then he would continue to work solidly for the next 15 years. But like this was a big thing where it's like, he wasn't playing a character at all. Like, well, he was a wise ass. Like he gets some funny lines.
Right.
There's good lines. Like David Kep, good screenwriter. Like obviously Jurassic Park is the more popular movie. This movie has memorable lines. Like I remember some of them, like just rewatching it. Like I spent enough time in the company of death. Like bringing dinosaurs back to the mainland is the worst idea in the history of bad ideas. Like there's some really good lines in this movie, and the dialogue, it's snappy and clever. And so Nick and Eddie, Richard Schiff as Eddie is funny. But yeah, so basically, and then what gets Ian there is the fact that his girlfriend, who we didn't know existed until this very moment, Sarah, is already.
I don't think she was supposed to be his girlfriend when the first movie took place.
No. I'm saying like even in this story or anything, it's
right.
Like this is the first we learn about his girlfriend in this movie is the fact that she is on this island, and so he's just literally going there to save her, and he gets the line. It's like, this is now a rescue operation, and that's when we get our first taste of the Jurassic Park theme hitting, but it doesn't take us into the island. So that's what I liked about it. It takes us to the staging area where we meet Eddie and Nick and everyone loading up, and his daughter Kelly. The music we get when they're sailing it or flying into the actual island is the Lost World theme itself. So that works. Right. And so we've got Kelly here. Kelly, not Sarah's daughter, but the daughter of an unseen woman who apparently moved to Paris. Mm-hmm. Played by, and who is this? Kelly, Vanessa Lee Chester, who is still working. Going on. Maybe what's she doing? Yeah, she was on something in 2021. So yeah,
she was in the Harriet the Spy movie a year before this with Michelle Trachtenberg. Yeah,
so she's a working actress out there on episodes of TV shows here and there. So yeah, and this is basically where we get the fact that like why Ian isn't as curmudgeon around children as Alan is, because he even mentions in the first movie he has his own.
Yes.
But his excuse me, one of his arcs for the movie, basically, saving Sarah, but also the initial conflict he has with Kelly, it's not quite resolved. The fact that they just survive a dino attack is like brings them together through crisis, but sure. That doesn't necessarily mean that they've solved their issues. She wants him to be more of a parent and less of a cool, fun-loving, hip guy with a leather jacket who gets it. And basically, he just kind of gets called out as being a shitty, absentee, emotionally unavailable father for a large chunk of the movie. Some lines that are kind of cutting. But yeah, I like the relationship between them, and she stows away, and that's how she winds up on the island. And it gives him two people to care about as the only member of this entire team, only member. And that includes the InGen people, who doesn't want to be there and thinks it's all terrible. Like this is
right.
The one who survived the first movie knows the death and destruction that's going to happen. And now he's got two people he deeply loves and cares about on the island. And yeah, he's in a pickle. That's what they call it.
It's another good line that I remember. I had forgotten, and then I chuckled at and remembered. Oh, I remember liking that line was when he says to Kelly, "It's so important to your future that you not finish that sentence."
Yeah,
when she starts to side with Sarah, saying she has a pretty good point.
I liked also the basically when he's talking to Sarah about other things, and he's telling her to go outside because this is tall talk. I like that line a lot. As somebody who's never been a part of tall talk himself, because I'm a short guy, I still liked it. Okay.
Also, we should mention that this was also a notable movie for Julianne Moore, who had been doing more and more stuff through the 90s, but had never been in this scale of movie prior to this.
This would also set her up as the replacement actress, and she's sort of replacing the Ellie Sattler role here, but not playing Ellie Sattler like she would Clarice Starling when she replaced actually Jodie Foster and just playing the same role in the follow-up to Silence of the Lambs. But yeah, she was not known for this type of movie at all. I think the first movie I ever saw her in was that Altman movie.
Shortcuts.
shortcuts.
You'd seen her in The Fugitive, but it wasn't like she had like a huge part in The Fugitive.
Well, she's very a memorable part. No, I think it was a memorable part. She's the nurse, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I did not see Hand That Rocks the Cradle, but yeah.
This was a huge year for her because Boogie Nights would come out this fall.
I saw her in my least favorite rom-com of all time, which was 9 Months.
Why is that your least favorite?
Oh, I hate it so much. I hate that movie so much. Just the entire premise of it, of like, oh, she's pregnant. What am I going to do? I don't like it.
She would get an Oscar nomination for Boogie Nights, directed by Paul Thomas Anderson, within the year of this movie coming out.
And I guess at this point, since we're loading up on the actors, we'll just go through the rest, which is that we've got Pete Postlethwaite, sadly died in 2011, but very well known for, memorable roles in The Usual Suspects and In the Name of the Father.
That's what really gotten him a lot of attention. I think, did he get an Oscar nomination for that?
He did. Yeah. And Inception, and his final performance was in The Town, but he plays Roland Tembo here, which is a character I really like. I really like Pete Postlethwaite. I think he's great. And I do like that some of these people do survive. Like Nick, honestly, Vince Vaughn shows up in Jurassic World Dominion. I'm in. Like, that's fucking awesome to bring back Nick Van Owen. But I like that, like, Muldoon obviously got taken down by as sort of the hunter in the first movie by the raptor. I like that he survived this, but he was a changed person. Mm-hmm. Like, I really liked his arc. His friend died. Maybe they could have made their friendship a little clearer on screen, but I still get it. And I like that he's able to walk out of this feeling really dirty and like never again.
I actually thought that was an interesting, nuanced character because, especially because the intro scene they cut, Matt, shows their friendship, also shows that he's kind of like world weary and he doesn't want to go at first because, of course, his friend is being coy about why he'd want to go here. But also he stops a group of assholes who are pawing a waitress. They're in Kenya. And he gets up and he challenge, and he basically ends up fighting this guy who's been pawing this waitress and beats the shit out of him, literally with one arm tied behind his back. And so I think it would have established a little more, because I do like the way we meet him in the movie currently, or find the only way, is you're like primed to hate him because he wants to kill a T-Rex just to kill it. But then, you get a lot other layers to him. And I also,
he's only really using Ludlow to do that. He hates everything he's doing. And he's like, but he's also, he even brings up like the rich dentist he takes around to like kill things, like, and how awful he feels about that taking that kind of money to do that. I think he's one of the better characters in this movie. I really like him. His second in command. So Peter Stormare just broke big from Fargo the year before this. And after
Vince Vaughn and Peter Stormare were both in like breakout indie movies the year prior.
And Peter Stormare, in fact, was in the movie that won Best Picture. And so after this, his career he was in everything you saw. First being Lost World, and then after this like kind of everything. So I don't know. He wasn't a really well-formed character at all in this movie. He was just an asshole. I don't know how he was sort of like synced up with Roland, who seemed to be a much more complex and caring character in certain parts.
Right.
Why because he would employ this jackass. Yeah. So
we have Roland's. If I'm not here, listen to Dieter. I need a better.
Oh, you're breaking up. Hold on. You're breaking up. The internet's being a bastard, and your voice is breaking up a bit. It's in and out. Okay.
All right. We're gonna pull through this. Yes.
All right. Okay. So
I know. I just think it's very strange that he would make him second in command. But oh well.
Then we have Thomas Duffy. Yeah. He gets the Nedry death in this movie, which I didn't really enjoy because I think there's a few action set pieces in this movie that take a little too long. It doesn't feel as tight as the first movie, but we've got Thomas F. Duffy as Dr. Robert Burke, who's sort of their hippie looking paleontologist who comes along with the InGen crew. And it's quite noticeable when they when they roll in, like you're worried, like everything's, we're skipping over a bit here with stegosauruses, which was sort of a note that put stegosauruses in this movie. So they did. And we meet Sarah for the first time, and she's actually really excited to be there and not scared at all. And no one's being cautious except Ian. I just want to add before we get to the InGen team, classic John Hammond once again. I believe Nick and Eddie both don't know there are dinosaurs on this island before they get there.
Right.
And it's like they had no idea what they were going to, and like Hammond is just like hee hee, like
it's so fun.
What twiddly dee.
Yeah,
Another
maybe he wanted to get people to come to the theme park without knowing what was there.
Yeah, you shouldn't call it Jurassic Park then. Yeah, you should call it just Hammond Land. But he's like, another Hammond Jape. Okay, so the InGen crew rows in, and it's a big moment. You've got they're hunting, they're it's unsettling to watch them like harm these creatures and like net them and tase them, and like they've got their fast moving vehicles with the sidecars that pop out and stuff like that, all this technology. And we didn't mention Arliss Howard as Peter Ludlow. Arliss Howard, famous for Full Metal Jacket and Time Traveler's Wife and a bunch of other movies. Most recently, he was in Mank. And what else? What was his other thing? I think that was the biggest movie he was in most recently was Mank. He was one of those Mank heads.
I mean, we talked about him on the Natural Born Killers episode because he's in that.
Yeah, he was Owen in that as that weird character that didn't pay off because they didn't use the original ending. But yeah, he's been in a bunch of stuff, but here he's doing an English accent. He's not English. So in order to play Attenborough's kin, he puts on an English accent. Okay, so what do you think of the InGen people rolling in?
I mean, it does its job as far as like, it's upsetting, it's like, the Jurassic Park movies, they want to ride this line of dinosaurs are threatening and they can kill us, but except for the raptors for now, we're still, even with the T-Rex in the first movie, as much as that was used as a terrifying thing, then it still comes in and saves them at the end. And so, we understand that these are just animals in their environment doing their animal thing. And so when the InGen crew shows up and they're just like, driving through and they're, trapping them and like terrorizing them, you're like, fuck these guys, eat them all. That's what I feel about it.
All right. Yeah, exactly. Like this is kind of like here are your victims, dinosaurs. Please carve a path through them as you will. What do you think made people, I should say, I guess Variety, say like, how did Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness get a PG-13? Like what brought about that opinion? Do you think it's just time away? Like it's 2022 and we're so far removed from something like this or The Ring that was PG-13 but was really violent and scary? I don't know.
Or Drag Me to Hell from the same director as Doctor Strange.
Yes, exactly, which was still only PG-13. Yeah.
It's just selective memory. It's just like, but it's a Marvel movie. It's for everyone. And the fact that this one is, it's more intense and it's got, it has some imagery that is definitely, darker than their other movies. But to act like, how did they get away with a PG-13 is a stupid question because we've seen many PG-13 movies. I was watching this movie during the height of that sort of Twitter blowback. And I was like, this movie is violent as all fuck. And like, and this movie, because it is a joke about the rating system and how weird it is that you can have a lot of violence at PG-13, just don't show human red blood. And it's funny because Doctor Strange mostly doesn't, but this movie has like blood pouring down. Like
Spielberg's always showed blood. I'm not just talking about Jaws. I just mean like the guy who got smushed in the rock crusher in Temple of Doom. See the blood on the thing, or the blood splatters against the plane in Raiders, or he'll always do that. And so here, the river runs blood when Peter Stormare gets killed by the compies. So okay, so we're jumping ahead to the fact that like Roland Tembo wants to kill the T-Rex. He's using, and this is another unsettling thing to watch, the baby T-Rex as bait. At this point, though, Nick Van Owen, eco-terrorist, Captain Planet shows up, releases dinosaurs, Triceratops tears through the camp, and that leads them to taking the T-Rex baby back with them to heal its leg, which leads the two T-Rexes to them in their trailer. And we lead to a very, you would now see years later, feeling like an Uncharted video game sort of like cutscene as far as like the action. It did feel like Uncharted does a train sequence that's very sort of similar in a very, very good way, very good part of that game. But like all the compiling the obstacles, you've got the T-Rexes, you've got all this stuff, and you've got the trailer sliding off, everyone falling onto the glass. It's all really well done. And then you've got Richard Schiff trying to save them, and he's going above and beyond here.
It's such a struggle. It's what he is doing to try to save them, and it's a great sequence. Like when this movie opened, it was a huge hit, but there was definitely the feeling of like that was a bit of a disappointment, and a lot of like, but everyone talked about this sequence, and watching it again, I'm like, yeah, this is a great sequence. And Eddie's struggle to help them, and how he has to keep redoing it, and the thing keeps and he has to wind, get the thing around the tree, and get it onto the car, and everything he's doing to help them, and the fact that they're dangling and the glass cracking beneath her. It's great, because we talked about the first one. It's like, take dinosaurs, but then add all these other elements to it. And this sequence, it feels like the one where Spielberg was most inspired. And it's very dramatic. And then, of course, it makes it all the more sad that Eddie just gets freaking torn in two.
They treat him like he's a shareable app for the table. It's like, hey, if we get a plate of fries, you want to split it? And they just like, yeah, that's so I watched that, and they literally wishbone him and like take a piece of split him in half. And I'm like, oh my God, this is PG-13, and everyone's complaining about, multiverse. But yeah, that sequence where, and obviously the callbacks to certain things where it's like hearing the T-Rex roar for the first time, just sends shivers down your spine, because we know it from our first feelings of watching Jurassic Park. Just being, Kelly didn't have to be a part of this, so it could just be the three of them in there, the breaking glass, holding on to the rope as the thing falls through them. So it all works really well. I'm glad Ian stands up for Eddie in some parts, a little bit like he died to help us, a hero and stuff like that. But yeah, at that point, with the InGen camp destroyed, and literally them saving them from the side of the cliff, everyone's all together. And we kind of go to, and I really like the T-Rex sequence. I also really liked the raptor sequence in the central area, the communication station, the abandoned communication station they have to go to signal the boat. Because the whole thing is like, there's a recurring, I don't even know if it's a recurring joke, but there's certainly a recurring thing where no phone works, and Jeff Goldblum can't get a hold of the boat. He can't call, He can't call on the island, and he can't call off the island.
Right.
And also the boat guy was like, I'm not going near the island, so if you need me, you have to call me. I know that you grew up in Los Angeles, but I feel like even people who grew up in places where Spanish wasn't commonplace could cobble together Cinco Muertos. Eric.
Yes. That was very funny. Yeah.
Cinco Muertos, what does that mean?
I
don't know. Translate both of those words.
Yeah, Ian Malcolm lives in New York, right? I just feel he would be able to.
It's the same to me as Tony Stark never knowing what shawarma is, having traveled the world and extensively also the Middle East.
Yeah.
I don't know what shawarma is.
I knew what shawarma is in Sherman Oaks. I feel like Tony Stark would have a pretty good handle on it. Yeah.
Okay. So now we get them all together, and we actually get Sarah talking to Tembo, and different dynamics going off, but they're all kind of in the same boat now. They're all kind of stranded on this island, and they need to move caravan style to this abandoned building where they can, call out. But it's in raptor territory, and the film does a very good job of like when Ian's reaction to hearing that the raptors for the first time, like Velociraptor,
which is funny because he didn't directly deal with them in the first movie, but
he didn't.
he would have heard things.
But he loved Muldoon more than life itself, and he knows that. And and Mr. Arnold, he loved both of those guys, and that's who took their life. Then they sort of walk through. I'm trying to place this. Where is the one of the first things that happens is Dieter gets taken out by the compies in a scene that I think takes too long. The whole thing where like they sort
it has too many levels to it.
But he gets the Nedry death, but it's not nearly as entertaining or as sort of like captivating as Nedry, because that character,
he is. Look, yes, you want to see him die with his fucking zapper on these things who are like they don't know to fear people, and then he's like maliciously zapping them. So they want to give him a big death, but I do agree it could have been done a little better.
And he only really dies because he gets separated from the group because he falls down a thing or something. So, but then we get still being stalked by the T-Rexes here. And basically like the T-Rex in the tent scene, followed by like rampaging T-Rexes, guy getting actually stepped on by a T-Rex, and then the T-Rex. We get a lot of like T-Rexes in your face. The first one gave us like one
very impressive. That T-Rex pushing into the tent.
It looks so good. So the first movie we got the T-Rex like exhaling and blowing the hat off of Alan's head. But this movie kind of doubles down on that because we've got it in the tent, and we've got like Sarah and Kelly just like trying to be as still as possible while crying, and it's really effective. And then bursting through the waterfall too. And chomping. Basically, the paleontologist gets undone by I think it was a snake crawling on him, and he's like and then the T-Rex.
Yeah, that was very silly that he actually yells, "It's a snake!" He could have still like freaked out, and that's what gets him. I just thought it's a snake. I'm like, yeah, we get it.
And then as he's being eaten, it was a snake.
I'd rather be killed by this dinosaur than deal with that snake.
Oh, thank God the snake.
That's where the blood pours, by the way. That's what I was talking about. Yeah.
Thank God the snake part of my life is over.
I embrace you, T-Rex. Thank you.
Death's sweet release.
And you mentioned the guy who gets stumped and then like dragged along for a few steps. Again, this is where like this movie, and some people did criticize it at the time for like, this one's meaner than the first one. It's and it
also gave us more assholes to be mean to. So, but and then as our listener brought up, like they walk into the tall field, the tall grass field with the raptors just sort of moving in.
Fucking great visual.
The paranoia of that, like seeing just all you can see is movement or hear them. And but it doesn't. And some people disappear into the grass, but then they don't hide the raptor that long. It like leaps out and attacks him. And then like I think the really fun mid part of that movie, leading into the third act, like that the main three of them. Nick's not there. But it's like, Ian, Sarah, and Kelly in the communication center, like dodging the raptors, bursting through windows, out of doors, into cars. Kelly's gymnastic lessons paying off with her.
A much mocked moment of this movie when it opened.
It's
very cheesy. People made fun of it.
I remember people cheering.
Oh no, there was a ton of people. It's like, I remember hearing a lot of people.
I don't believe you. No. My theater cheered. So
Matt. By the way, I am 99% sure we saw this movie together. I think this is the only Jurassic Park movie we saw together.
You should remember the cheers.
Didn't we see this in New York together? At the Ziegfeld?
I would have seen it in New York. I don't know if you were there.
I believe I saw this movie with you at the Ziegfeld. I could be delusional. I saw this movie in New York at the Ziegfeld.
Well, then stop lying about the crowd reaction.
I'm not saying they didn't cheer. I'm saying
maybe one person was like, "This wouldn't happen in New York."
But but people did mock it afterwards. It's a little over the top, although at least Ian gets the same line I was thinking, which is how did she get cut? Like, how good is this gymnastics team? Although I did think it made people like retroactively be like meaner about that character, because I think she's fine otherwise. Again, these movies will go out of their way to always include a kid. It becomes like a part of the series that there was a child in them all. But I liked her fine as a character.
I like Kelly, and I like that
really
moment.
liked,
and everyone
really
else
liked
can
when her
fucking pack sand. Yeah.
I also really liked when she earlier, she's realizing that the baby T-Rex is making too much noise, and she doesn't know it's going to call its parents specifically, but it's freaking her out, realizing so other things are going to hear this thing, and that's not good.
And then we've got basically Tembo tried to kill the T-Rex. Nick replaced his shotgun shells with like blanks or something, and so he winds up having to trank it. And but during that, how did AJ die? Did he die off screen, or was he the guy who got stepped on? Like, what happened?
I don't recall. Yeah, I don't think he's one who got stepped on, but I'm not sure about
that. But
AJ
didn't make it, and yeah, so this is sort of Tembo's turning point. He does fell the T-Rex. He doesn't kill it, no trophy, doesn't want it, and it's all Ludlow really cares about. But then he gets to leave, and one of the better characters in this movie. I like Pete Postlethwaite, and I like the character.
Yeah.
And
but before we move on for that part, I also just want to say that look, this movie, it's definitely copying like huge T-Rex sequence in the middle, big raptor sequence near the end. Now, of course, this movie goes on further after what seems like
it does. It does. It feels like there's another movie here where that raptor part at the end is the end.
Oh, for sure. But I will say that it does show you that, like, look, Spielberg can direct the hell out of it, even if he's kind of copying those moments in a broad sense. They're not like duplicates, but also the effects, again, how things are just like the first movie was already amazing, but we talked about the T-Rex and how it's like so in everyone's face. But then the raptors, who look great in the first movie, and they had that great moment where one of them leaps up onto the kitchen table, but here they're leaping left and right because it's like the technology's gotten better where they can just have them move so much and look awesome and completely believable. And even like the freaking animatronic baby T-Rex looks great when they're carrying it.
So the first dinosaurs for the first part of this movie, they're all in the sunlight. They're in the daytime, and we see the Stegosauruses, and we see InGen roll in and capture dinosaurs in the daytime. But I do like the fact that when we see the T-Rexes, it's raining and in the dark. Once again, it's like the big T-Rex attack. You could call it a copy of the first, but like also it's the best way to see them. Best way to present them is in the dark and during the rain, and when you're melding CGI and practical effects. Okay.
100%. And again, we talked about how, this is the same year as Anaconda, a movie we enjoy, but obviously didn't have the budget nor like just the technicians that, worked on this movie, where it's like Anaconda has decent animatronics and terrible CG in the moments where it switches to that. And then the same year this is coming out, where it's just like everything looks fantastic. Yeah. And again, because we've watched so many movies from this era now on this podcast and seen how it's not just like, oh, outdated CGI. It's just like who had the money and the tech and the skills to pull it off, because some people, like the people working on this, did it very well.
We get into the third act now, which it does feel tacked on. It does feel like from a different movie.
It's also very bizarre. I always thought this, and I thought again, Nick vanishing. It feels.
But again, like, why would he be there? I guess.
Why would he be there? But also, again, like the tacked on nature. It's like if this was more sort of organic feeling, there might be a way to. Sure. Yeah.
Is there are worse tacked on third acts in
it's
movie
it's
history,
like DLC to the Lost World, man.
Yeah, but this one is weird. So yeah, with everything with the T-Rex captured and the baby, Ludlow and company, they bring it back to the mainland, and he's already talked about the facility that they can get set up quickly in San Diego, and he offers Roland a park job, and Roland's like, fuck off. But then we've got a speed 2 like sort of like boat crash situation where everyone on the boat's dead. Eric, who killed the people?
I mean, in theory, the T-Rex, but how? How did it kill everyone?
So did the baby dinosaur
hadn't gotten out
20
yet
people
fully.
on this boat, you know?
Yeah.
We don't know who killed these people. Maybe there's like pirates out there that we don't know.
We did skip over where the oh no, we didn't skip over. We haven't gotten to it yet. Never mind.
Yeah, this is literally we're doing the press conference and the boat's pulling up, like the ghost boat pulls up and everyone's dead. There's no real reason why they're dead because nothing on that boat that we can figure out could have killed them in this way. But unless there were other dinosaurs, but there weren't. Like they didn't bring off other dinosaurs. So that's sort of a weird way to enter this third act with a big question. And basically, what was that other line? I think I already deleted it in my notes, which was like, oh no. I already mentioned it, but I didn't say the last part of it, which was like, bring dinosaurs back to the mainland is the worst idea in a history of bad ideas. And I'm going to be there when you find that out. So that's sort of like the cool line that Jeff Goldblum gets to utter and then be proven right at the end as far as, but yeah, basically.
And by the way, I just because, but before we finish, I will also say when you bring that up, I really liked at the beginning of this movie when Ian meets with Hammond that it's like he's really calling out Hammond on like what just how Hammond is this sort of arrogant, dick in his own way about like you're making the same as I'm not making the same mistakes again. No, you're making all new ones. Just how it's like he's very blind to he might mean well, but he's completely blind to how
he's up to his old not only is he up to his old bullshit, but he's also doing the same thing like you just said, like he's not telling people what they're good heading into literally.
right
So we've got the big breakout. They didn't know how to like tranquilize this. Basically they had to wake up the T-Rex and they gave it too much, so now it's a T-Rex on steroids and it busts out and rampages through San Diego. First it's in the burbs. Now again, there are just, I don't want to be the person who like nitpicks and stuff, but they're just things that just stand out and sometimes you can't help it. One is that how does no one in this suburban neighborhood wake up at the sound of these T-Rex walking when the footsteps of this T-Rex shaking things has been such a integral part of this story as far as like a suspense feature, but it's somehow able to tiptoe through this community with everyone being like honk shoe, me, just sleeping away. And then the other thing is, what time is it? How is everyone in this neighborhood asleep? But then if you go to downtown,
but there was
San
a press
Diego,
conference.
Everyone's also out on the street.
Right.
Like, I don't know what time it is. It's either midnight or 7. I don't know what's happening.
Yeah. There's also a factor, and this happens all the time, including in superhero things we love. It happened in the Hawkeye finale of how come like just any authorities aren't trying to stop that thing, like shooting at it, like showing up, like
they're all at home. We saw them at home in their houses sleeping.
I guess so.
That was Copland.
small little San Diego.
That was was
we got one sheriff, one deputy.
Down there, in the backwater town of San Diego, California. So this is all weird. Even weirder is that the dog actually dies. I didn't remember that at all. I remember there was a dog barking. I forgot about the dangling dog house from the mouth. Usually don't kill a dog, but not in this movie. Again, the meanness of this movie a little more. Also mean, innocent guy just wandering down the street, enjoying the nightlife of the gas lamp district. It just gets
waiting for Comic-Con.
Destroyed by a T-Rex. And even like it's really intense, even that headbutt it gives to the bus where they all crash out the other side.
Although it's an awesome moment.
It is. And it's like there's a viciousness to this film. Why it didn't get whatever is higher than an NC-17, I don't know.
This movie is restricted for anyone.
No one is able to see this movie of any age.
Human eyes shall not view this film.
It can only be witnessed by actual dinosaurs.
And you guy roll your eyes at the Godzilla gag with the Japanese businessmen running, and that also killed opening night though.
Probably, that I don't remember. I remember the killing moment being very popular. I don't like you retconning it to make it seem like people hated it. I don't like
I'm saying the assholes who would have end up on Twitter, Matt. It's like it's very similar to how everyone opening night of Last Jedi cheered Leia like, you know, flying through space to save herself, and then it's like everyone hated that. It was the worst thing ever. Not in my theater. Not in my theater.
What a Mary Sue who has the Force.
Sure. Who's part of the most powerful family established in this entire universe. Yes.
All right. Yeah, not much else to say here except that like Ian develops a plan to basically take the baby, lure the T-Rex back to the boat and to trap him, which seems very complicated, but they managed to pull it off. But the villain death is very satisfying because, you know, the moment of like the T-Rex allowing
that little
the baby to kill, and then so Ludlow gets eaten by the baby. I will say it's also a pattern in these movies that we don't care as the audience, but it's a pattern in this movie that one of the scientists has a dino theory that's going to get proven by the end of the movie.
Right.
And like, so this movie, it was Sarah saying like T-Rexes are good moms, which is like,
they won't abandon their kids.
They won't, they're nurturing parents. And so she's like, I was right. And like, we're like, okay. But they also killed Eddie in a pretty disgusting way. But yeah, so there's always some like dino theory, and like Alan Grant had like, they're birds. So it's one of those things where like that's a through line that I guess adds a little more substance to the movie, but ultimately it doesn't mean anything in the end, because by that point at the end we knew that they come for the baby. That was established like at the end of the first act.
Right.
If it was at the end, then she's like, oh, they'll come for the baby, and it was something they discovered. It wasn't. It wasn't the trick play they pull out at the last minute.
Like, I called it.
Clearly established early on that the T-Rexes were tracking the baby the entire time. And then we've got some tidy cleanup at the end, which is like Sorna has been Costa Rica's it's a nature preserve now. Hammond is like changed his tune, and he's like, oh, we've got to protect these animals and stay away from them. And Sarah and Ian are asleep on the couch while Kelly watches TV. I guess that's their family closure. I don't know what. Did he become a better father? I hope so.
Maybe.
I don't know. What we find out in Jurassic World Dominion is like he remained a shitty like father. Kelly shows up. Right. All right. And then, and we got Hammond saying the line, life will find a way. And then the debut of the pterodactyl over on Dino Island. And then
actually, pteranodons. I don't know if I'm saying that right.
Pterodons?
Different flying. But raising a question that will come up again in this series, which is they can just fly off that island at any point if they're there.
And and that brings us into Jurassic World 3. So yes. Where that actually does happen. And then we get the second big use of the original Jurassic Park theme, picking us out. And that was Lost World.
That was Lost World, which, you know, it's got cool sequences. It's a weird movie. It's like, you know, I don't hate it. But yeah, it's
I think it's carried a lot by some of the action sequences and also by the actors. I think I like Jeff Goldblum a lot still. He's great. And he and Kelly have a great relationship. Julianne Moore is great. I think the actors and stuff carry it when the story is not takes a powder. And then some of the third act gets a bit clumsy. So but yeah, it is. I think it's a perfectly acceptable follow-up film. If you absolutely needed a follow-up film.
Yeah, it delivers on what you want to see, which is cool action dinosaur sequences and look, these movies to me, and we'll get into this when we get into the Jurassic World era about like I kind of don't understand some of the hate the recent ones got, only because it's like, are they expensive movies where we get to watch dinosaurs eat people? Then I'm gonna enjoy it on some level. And this movie, Spielberg, look, he can direct the fuck out of these sequences, and so the set pieces are great. the movie as a whole, yeah, it doesn't come together like the first one. It doesn't feel as satisfying as the first one, but it still kind of delivers it checks off the boxes, even if it's a little more at arm's length.
And it checks off so many more dino death boxes than the first movie too.
Yes.
So.
I also noticed, by the way, that David Koepp was the second unit director. He's directed several movies, smaller movies through his career. Stir of Echoes being a particularly good one, starring Kevin Bacon.
Remember, I've seen that only once. I don't remember not liking it.
I really dug it.
Well, good for you.
Yes, it is good for me because I liked it.
Because I liked the movie and I enjoyed it.
Because I spent time watching it and I liked it.
What else did he do? What else did this guy do?
The funny thing that he directed that I didn't realize is the
oh my god, he did Mordecai.
Was
Jesus Christ! Wow.
He
Okay.
didn't write, oddly, because most of the movies he's directed, of course, he also wrote. But Mordecai, he's like, this script, you get a Mordecai, you gotta say yes.
It's like I'm the foremost expert on all things Mordecai.
And he directed the very silly Premium Rush, in which Michael Shannon goes gloriously over the top.
The Bike Messenger movie with
it makes
Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
Big faces.
I reviewed that Bluray or something for IGN once.
I reviewed the movie and I did the junket for that.
What is Trigger Effect? We're just going down this David Koepp rabbit hole where he wrote and directed this 1996 movie. So it's before this movie.
Yeah, Kyle MacLachlan, Elizabeth Shue, and Dermot Mulroney. I remember this title, but
that's a very 90s cast. Wow. Okay.
Oh yeah.
Trigger Effect. Oh, all right. Possible main event coming up.
Jack Noseworthy's in it. Speaking of 90s.
Wow.
Michael Rooker, Richard Schiff of the Lost World, Jurassic Park.
Oh, and that's why he wrote this character to be written in half. He hated working with him.
Right.
He's like, I'm going to do something.
Hey, Steven, hire Richard Schiff,
and then split him in half.
I get I'm second unit director. I want to direct that.
All right. Everything is possible, but nothing is real. And Shakma.
Shakma.
Shakma!